reminded here of the tale of King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table. As the story goes, in the 7th century, the enemies of the Britons were more powerful than they, and the prospects of the Briton survival growing dim. But there was a super weapon of the day that, if it could be obtained, could be used to secure victory over their enemies. The weapon was a magic sword, but it was embedded in a rock and could only be removed and used by the one who was pure of heart and the rightful king. All the men of the kingdom tried to remove the sword from the rock, but none was able, until a small teenage boy named Arthur came along. They did not consider the boy a legitimate candidate for king, so they at first wouldn't let him try to remove the sword. But after all the kingdom's men had failed to remove the sword, they decided to let the boy try. The boy climbed onto the rock and in a single motion withdrew the sword from the rock. He then ascended to the throne and used the magic sword to vanquish the Britons' enemies, saving the kingdom. Now, what is interesting about this story is the connection between the external enemy they faced and the internal qualities necessary to obtain the sword and defeat them. In essence, someone had to be pure of heart inside in order to defeat the enemy outside. This situation has resonance today because our enemies, environmental degradation, social injustice, economic inequity, can only be defeated through interdependent cooperative actions. And they can only happen if we free ourselves of the tribal fears and bigotries that reside inside of us, preventing us from cooperating with the people who we consider the other. In other words, we must transcend our self-protected, independent culture in order to be successful building a cooperative, interdependent future. Now, I know this sounds like an impossible task. After all, greed and advantage seeking over others, distrust and fear are at the heart of our culture. But it's not impossible. In fact, it's happening all around us right now, if you're willing to see it. We live in a world where magic is the rule, not the exception. A world in which we humans have been handsomely gifted with qualities that, without our knowledge, caused us to be preparing for this moment from the beginning of our journey. We need only to look past our cultural fears and remember our true nature. We are life, hopeful, optimistic, bold and opportunistic, tenacious and unafraid of risk. And we are human, meaning we possess the ability to create our own magic. And we have been doing so and preparing for this moment all along. Self-protection and fear of the other and advantage seeking over others are not innate human qualities. They are the biases of an independent culture, a culture that is transitioning and providing many opportunities, both collectively and personally. To save ourselves, we must save the others. To save the others, we must free ourselves. This is Gene Tierney with Beloved Community Action. You know, the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. famously dreamt of a society he called the beloved community that is inclusive, equitable, sustainable, and prosperous. Despite news-generated feelings of hopelessness and chaos, a more cooperative, interdependent humanity is possible, is necessary to solve many of our most pressing problems, and is beginning to unfold right in front of us today, presenting countless opportunities for individuals and organizations of every type. Please join us on this journey of discovery and change. Subscribe and like our videos, and go to our website, www.belovedcommunityaction.org. Explore our informational materials and consider becoming a member. Thank you.